Welcome everyone. This is Friday, September 16th, JupyterLab dev meeting. We are in preparation for a dev sprint for next week in New York, and a Strata talk on JupyterLab the week after, and a bunch of stuff going on. Looking at the hackpad, I put in one sentence. Actually, I have a question for Steve later on, but let's just go around quick status updates. Chris, anything?
Yeah, working on this morning. Actually, just put in a PR to upgrade Phosphor to TypeScript 2.0, which is nice. It was a pretty straightforward change. It wasn't entirely like it didn't compile straight out, and that's because the compiler caught one thing where we were faking creating keyboard events. And the updated compiler caught us faking that, so I just had to use a bigger hammer to get it to work. And then all the other compilation failures were all of our tests that tested to ensure properties were read-only, and the compiler now just catches them at read-only, and so our tests were technically incorrect. And so it just had to remove those tests, and then everything compiles. So that PR is in. I'll probably merge it here in a couple minutes, and then I'll start going through and make use of that read-only in some other areas where we should be using it more, like on option bags and that kind of stuff that should all be read-only. We can now go ahead and use that keyword. So I'll make those updates. And then the other big feature that I think we can make use of is the strict null checking, which is going to be a bit harder to roll into the code base, or just a bit more effort. It's not going to be as straightforward. But that's really nice because that'll free us from having to do a lot of checks to see if things are null when we know they can't be null, or they should never be null, or that kind of stuff. So, so that's, I guess, mostly it on my end. Still working on the grid, coming along well. So should have a read-only usable version of it here in a couple weeks.
A quick question. So we ran into the same problems updating TypeScript for the JupyterLab code base, where it actually caught a place or two that we were doing things incorrectly, and then other places needed big hammers. But the read-only issue was a big thing as well. I left the read-only tests in because I didn't want somebody to later on put a set handler, handler for an attribute, and so I just coerced things to any before trying to set it and then checking a JavaScript error. So in a sense, I was trying to check the JavaScript read-only attribute, not the TypeScript one.
Can you not use the read-only keyword on a getter? Because that would be the way to do it.
Oh yeah. So if you use read-only keyword, I'm not sure if you can. I know it assumes read-only on an attribute if you have only a getter, but I was checking to make sure nobody put a setter in there.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that if I haven't tried it, but my assumption would be that you could use a read-only keyword on the getter, and then if you try to define a setter, that would catch it.
Yeah, if that catches it, then I'm fine. So I guess we should check that. Thanks. Steve.
Okay. I ported over the test for notebook extension to test our lab extension mechanism, and those are all working. We're just about through the review process with Jason there. And the big thing I'm working on is now that we've got sort of something in place for the third-party extension, I took a step back and I'm working on refactoring Jupyter.js services to, one, make it more maintainable, and two, to change the way we're testing things that should be hitting a server. I had gone down the path before of trying to mock out both the client and the server. We got a better way forward to where we're just mocking out a small bit of server logic and none of the client-side logic to do the testing. So there's a lot of tests in JupyterLab that are waiting on that mechanism to be in place. So I'm paying down that technical debt right now.
Cool. Darian?
So I've been refactoring the completer, and there's a few behavioral changes, but in addition, there are just some real edge case bugs that are hard to nail down. There's an outstanding PR that I linked to and then I tried to see if there are any outstanding PRs that had just been hanging there for a while that could be reviewed, and a couple went in. And also today, oh good, Dan's on the line. Dan and I had a conversation about the foreign consul stuff that he can talk about. That's pretty much it. I hope to finish the completer stuff today. I'm just stuck in the middle of a bug that's a little tricky. But after this one last bug fix, I think we should probably merge and iterate from there. With the there are some finer behaviors we might still want to nail down. Matthias and I have been talking on the actual thread, but I think we aren't 100% clear on some of those issues yet. But I think we're close. So, yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, I think some of them are not even issue; they're just open questions that we haven't investigated even in the previous notebook. But because we were in the process of listing the completer behavior, I took the liberty of listing more things we didn't address.
Okay, great. Thanks. Let's move to Dan.
Hi. So yeah, we've made some progress on the multiple sessions appearing in one console. I think that's headed in the right direction now. One thing that's going to make it a little more complicated that Darian and I didn't get to talk about is you could have, I'm sure we will have more than one foreign session, and I need to make sure that all of the outputs end up with their correct inputs. That if an input comes in from, say, one foreign session A and an input comes in from foreign session B, we don't know what order those outputs are going to come back in, right? And so that I'll need to have some extra mapping stored somewhere that's going to keep track of all that.
Do executions have some sort of global ID attached to them? I haven't actually.
The future has a message ID property. The future you get back.
But
Okay,
I don't.
cool.
Yeah, but I don't get back a future if I don't initiate the execution, right?
But the kernel will tell you the order in which it's executing things. It'll give you an execution count number. So the kernel will tell you the order in which it saw things, which should be the order that's in the console.
Right. So we can just rely on that.
Yeah. Where does that?
We can rely on that, or we can rely on like which session it came from, and we know that each session will only have one input and one output at a time. But I guess the execution count is probably the safer way to map that.
Yeah, I think that's the canonical information from the kernel. That's the one you should be displaying.
Okay, that makes sense. Anyway, hopefully that'll be ready soon.
Cool. Matthias, did you have anything? You're muted.
Sorry, not particularly. I'm still slowly catching up with everything I missed in the last 2 weeks.
Cool.
I was just wondering if next week you're all together. Dan, you're in near New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
did you want to come join us some of the time?
Yeah, sure. This is the first that I was hearing about it, but it would be fun to join you for some time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I'll get in the loop on that offline if you want, or whatever.
Email me and Jamie as soon as you can about what days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you'd be interested in joining us. Is that all right, Jamie? Yeah. Good.
Great. Thanks.
Jamie, did you have anything? You're muted too.
I don't have too much. Just we'll be sending some materials out today about just the schedule for next week, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys work on JupyterLab out there. I surveyed the team, like the non-JupyterLab groups on the team, to see if there's anything they wanted me to listen for specifically, so I could just kind of keep people updated on the goings on next week. So I have a few things from Min, and haven't heard back from anyone else. So I'll be listening for those things.
Cool. And I have two things. I've been working a lot on the third-party extensions. So iPad widgets is working fine, at least minimally. But what I really know is that you can get a slider that you can move back and forth. I need to test more. But it seems like it's working fine. It's loading CSS and everything. I am currently working on BQplot, and it's bringing up an issue. Steve, maybe you can comment on this. How are we treating custom loaders? Right now, I'm using the plugin infrastructure, or the third-party extension bundling infrastructure, and I have a less loader for BQplot. It's coming out with a big, huge string that's being required that has a bunch of exclamation points, and it loads a less loader than a CSS loader. I know we at one point did something with the custom loaders and exclamation points in the syntax.
I'll tell you what I think should happen, and what I would expect to happen.
Okay.
The default settings of the builder will use the existing default loaders, none of which are less loaders. So you would provide that as external Webpack config.
Doing
that would result in a module that looks like something exclamation something else, and that would get parsed. In each part would get a version mangled version of that import.
That's happening so far.
Okay, and then that should just transparently work as long as there's only one of those matching full strings with the bash separated pieces. Then it won't be deduped, and that's what you get. Okay. So I would expect that to just work, is what I'm saying.
Okay. So I think that's where we're at.
Both the loader itself will be a module, and then the thing that uses the loader, the require statement, will have the loader bash and then something else.
Okay. And I think that's what's happening. Okay, I'll dig deeper. Thanks for your input about what you think should be happening. And second thing, so Paul Ivanov has been working on JupyterLab, sitting beside me this last week. He's working on a launcher as a sort of ramp up, get up to speed project. And so he's taking the current page that has the new notebook, console, file, etc., and turning it into a service that has a registry. You can register apps, essentially, and it'll be on the sidebar. So he's not in right now, but
I'm here.
Oh, hi, Paul. Hey, do you want to say something, Paul?
No, hey, I'm just getting started.
Yep.
So yeah, learning to crawl.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, do you want to say anything about your launcher there?
Yeah, no, you covered it. Yeah.
Okay.
I would say, Paul, if you can keep notes about like your learning process, and like as you're since you've got fresh eyes on this and you're like a new user, if like you can keep notes about what you experience and what you like, what you don't like, because a lot of us might have blinders on for like the new user experience since we've been in it for so long. So that would definitely be good feedback to have.
Yep, totally. We'll do that.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else? All right. Paul? No?
Yeah, no.
Okay. So just watch. Yeah, that was a no. Yeah, watch your email for Jamie's email sharing the Google Doc that has a bunch of planning information. Dan, if you could email us about what days you'd like to join us, that'd be great. And we'll see a lot of you in New York, and then Chris, I guess some of you like Chris will catch up on video conference.